Hello, welcome to Cracking the Cryptic. Today I am going to be doing a lesson on two of the sort of first two advanced steps in classic Sudoku. So we often look, and it's fairly obvious, at finding what are called hidden singles and even naked singles. So I'm going to use this puzzle. This was sent to us by Master Breitenkamp, who was asking us. He sent us a shot of his solve of this puzzle near the end. And it was a very interesting position. And I imagine that we will get to it if I try and solve the puzzle. But, I mean, full disclosure there obviously reveals that I have seen this puzzle before. This isn't a totally blind solve, although I haven't solved it from the beginning. So that much will be. But it's going to introduce us to a couple of very interesting tricks, and those are the X-wing and the Y-wing. And it's I think it will prove quite a good tutorial on how to use them. So let's also use it as a tutorial on the absolute basics of how to find digits in Sudoku. And I'm going to start with these two 8s in the first two rows. And this is what I'm calling a hidden single. We don't often use the term much. It's sort of a very blatant thing to look for once you start thinking about it. But the question I'm going to ask is, we can see where the 8 is in box 3. We can see where the 8 is in box 2. Where's the 8 in box 1? And, from just looking at the rows, one knows it's in one of those 3 cells. But which one? Well, we've got these two 8s down here. And in fact, it's an absolute iron fast rule that once you get 4 of one digit looking into one box, you must know where that digit goes in that box. And so we can tell 8 must be here. There's nowhere else for it in the box. And those are the easiest digits to spot. I have not checked whether this puzzle has any obvious naked singles. I'm trying to do a bit of a scan now. If there is a naked single, I can tell you it would have to be a 4. But maybe we'll get to that in due course rather than looking for them at the absolute outset. So I'm going to look for more of these hidden singles, and let's look at these two 1s. Where is the 1 in column 2? Well, that one is telling us it can't be there, so we can place it in box 2 there. And this is sort of the basics of how you go about solving Sudoku. Now, you can also add finding some pairs and triples and things like that. Those are reasonably straightforward. Now, 3 is ruled out of those 2 cells, so it can go there. But what we are going to focus on today, if I can find some hidden singles, I will do so. Haven't found any yet. We'll get there if we can. But later we will look at an X-wing and a Y-wing. Now, we've got a 1 here. That can't go there. We've got a 1 here. That can't go there. So in box 6, 1 is now definitely in one of those 2 cells, which at least means it's confined in box 5 to one of those 2. And that's what our corner marks mean. That 1 is in the corner of those, that 1 is in one of these 2 positions within this box. And this can be very useful marking, which is why we do it so much. Now here's another slightly more elaborate hidden single. The positions of the 2s in the puzzle are quite interesting for row 7. Where can a 2 go in row 7? And you can see that those 3 2s are ruling out 3 of the available 4 cells. So that's another form of hidden single. We can place a 2 there. That gets us 2 over up in this box. 7, we can do exactly the same thing with this row and ask now where 7 goes. Now that cell's been ruled out. These 2 are ruled out by placed 7s, and we can get another one here. That's going to give us a 7 in one of those 2 cells. Might be useful to mark it. What else can we find? 7 in this box has only 2 cells possible, in fact, but they're slightly offset. It's often worth marking those because they can prove very useful later. 5 in this row has 2 possible cells. Wrong marking, so it's in one of those 2. Let's just keep going. 6 is in one of those 2. 1 in one of those. 7 in one of those. 3 in one of those. Just still trying to pick up any information I can from the given digits and the ones we've managed to place so far. 5's in one of those. Right, now 7 in this box is actually ruled out of those cells. So it's in one of those 2, and that means that this pencil marking we did earlier has become valuable now. Once 7's in one of those two, it can't be there. So it must be here in box 5. So we can put that 7 in now. Oops, sorry, didn't know where I was highlighting there. 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 5. Just trying to find something else we can do here. As I say, I haven't solved the puzzle from the beginning at all. 3, 1, 8, 5, 7, 2, 6. This is 4 or 9. We may well get to a point where we are pencil marking this grid with candidates as well as just what we've been doing so far, which is marking it with yeah, in fact we've got a pair here with marking it with corner marks. We've got a pair here. The last 2 digits in this box must be 4 and 5. So I'm going to put them in the center, and in the center pencil marks tend to be what we use when we're marking the candidates that are available for that cell. So in these cells only 4 or 5 could go in there. So we feel more comfortable marking that in that way. Now 1 can't be on the left side, so it must be on the right side of row 1. 2 can't be on the right side, so it must be on the left side. 2, 4, 9 need to go in down here, and I don't know much about that yet. Let's just keep going as best we can. That's quite interesting. These two are an unusual pair. They're not in the same box. However, they all see 1, 3, 5, 7, 8 in the column, and they both see 2, 6 in the row. So that must be a 4, 9 pair. And in fact, the question we could have asked is, where does 6 go in this column? And it's only by establishing that 4, 9 pair that I've been able to spot that that's a useful question and that this is the only place. So that gives us a 6 there, a 2 down here, gives us a 6 in the middle box. We've only got 2 or 3 6s left to mark in the puzzle. This is now a 4, 9 pair, just like that. 2 has to be in one of these 2 cells. What else has that given us? Maybe not quite as much as I was thinking it might. Yes, it does. We've got that too. So that fixes, that's very nice. In this box, just have a look at this arrangement we had. We had 2s in one of those, 1s in one of those, 3s in one of those. Now, as soon as we rule 2 out of here, that pushes the only place for 2 to here, the only place for 1 to here, and the only place for 3 to here. And that's done quite a lot of stuff. So 1 there looks into the middle box and sorts out 1. 3 now can't be in those cells. Actually, maybe I was thinking it would do more. We're left with 4, 5, 9 in column 4. 4, 5, 8 in column 5, and that's revealed a 4, 5, 9 triple. Because, yes, where does 8 go in this box? Maybe I could have asked that earlier. We've got those 8s placed, which mean it can't go in those cells. And now we've marked 7 and 1. We know it must be up here, which I actually got to by finding that 4, 5, 9 triple with pencil marking. So there are different ways of getting to solutions in Sudoku puzzles. You don't always have to go exactly the same way. Now again, that 8 has placed 8 in this box down here. That can't be a 5. And that's interesting. Now one of these 2 must be a 5. In column 4, and once one of those 2 must be a 5 in box 5, this isn't. So that's a 4. Oh, this is quite interesting. I think, no, I don't know. Maybe this is going to spoil the X-Wing I thought we were going to have. Anyway, that's placed a 4 down here. I've no idea. Let's just carry on and solve the puzzle. That's now a 9 to finish the row. That 9 now can't be in any of those cells, so 9 in box 3 is in one of those 2, and in box 2 in one of those 2. This can't be a 9 anymore, it's 4 or 5. 4 is confined to those 2 cells in box 6. 2, 1, 8, 6, 7, 3, 3, 1, 4, 9, 5, 1, 8, 9, 2. Still trying to find something else that's going to help. 9 in the bottom row. Yes, we can place that now. There it is. And that gives us a 5 here. this is a naked single now. This is what I was talking about earlier. We've got 1, 2, 5, 7 in the row and a 4, 9 pair. So it can't be any of those digits. In the column we have a 6 and an 8. The only Sudoku digit left for this cell is 3. So a naked single is talking about the cell logic, whereas the hidden singles, which we're looking for much more often, are talking about the box logic, or sometimes the row logic, or the column logic. Now, 3 there means that 3 in this box has to be in one of these cells, the same as 1. So we can remove the 1 corner mark, make it a 1, 3 pair center mark, and that's more powerful. Now we have a 4, 5, 9 triple running through these cells. So I'm going to actually remove the corner marks that I've got and put in the possible center marks. This is a 4, 5, 7 triple down here. 2. We know where 8 goes in this box now. That one can't be a 7. 8 must go here. And 6 is here. What else is that going to give us? And I think now we're working closer to the position at which we can look at the possible X-wing and Y-wing. That is, if it's been retained in this version of the puzzle, which I'm not sure about yet. But now we still need to solve a few cells to get there. This is 7 or 9, or maybe we just need to pencil mark it up. Oh yeah, look, we've done 5 there, so 4 and 5 are resolved in the center. 6 in this row can be placed now, thanks to that 6, and that 6. We can place it here. And that only gives us 1 6 left in the puzzle. So that's the last 6. That gives us 2 up here. Now we know one of these is a 9, but we also know one of these is a 9. So it's got to overlap in that cell. That's where 9 is, not here. And we are coming down to a lot of 4, 5, 7s and 9s at this point. So that's 4, 7 or 9. That is 4 or 7. 3 actually can be placed here, and that fixes the 3, 1 pair, which were also fixed by that 1 earlier. Here we've got 7 or 9, so I'm going for corner marks now rather than, oh, that 2 has fixed where 2 is in this box. And this one is 4, 5 or 9, some of those familiar 4, 5, 7, 9 digits that are ones we have left to place. 4 or 7 there, and what have we got here? 4, 5 or 7. Actually, that one can't be a 7. So I think this is the pencil marking that we get to, and this is the point where Matt sent it to us. He'd got this far, fine, no problem. But he said, what's the next step? And the next step that I found, which I think is very interesting, is an X-wing. Now, what is an X-wing? An X-wing, and I'm going to demonstrate it by looking at the X-wing here. Look at 4s in rows 2 and 6. So there must be 2 4s in those rows. Where can they be? One of them's in one of those 2 cells, and one of them's in one of those 2 cells. And that's fine. Now, the reason it's called an X-wing is because we could sort of draw a line between the 2 diagonals. 4 is either up here in the top left and down here in the bottom right, or up here in the top right and down here in the bottom left. So there's a line between the 2 4s, and those 2 lines make an X. And that's why it's called an X-wing. But the implication of the fact that there must be 2 4s in these 2 cells means that the 4s for the columns must be used in those 2 cells. So the other cells in the column which heretofore could have had a 4 in it, no longer can. And that's this cell, and very importantly, this cell. These 2 cannot have 4s in anymore. So we can take the pencil mark out. Not that helpful here yet, but very helpful here where we've only got 1 candidate left. So by virtue of the X-wing, this has become naked. We get a 9 there and a 4 here. That can't be 4 anymore. These can't be 9 anymore. I don't think that actually gives us a digit here. So in fact, all it's done at this stage is reduced 1 digit there, sorted out a few digits in the first 3 columns, and then we're left wondering what's going on. But this digit was actually very important down here, because of this cell, its possibilities, and the effect that that has further down the grid. And this is a Y-wing. Now what happens here is you have to consider both the possibilities here. First of all, let's consider a 4 here. That would put, I'm just going to put it in the corner, that would put a 5 here. Now the alternative is that this is a 7, and that would put a 5 here, thanks to this cell not having a 4 possibility anymore. Now the interesting thing about those two 5 possibilities are one of them is right. Depends what this is. One of them is right. We don't know which one, but we do know that this cell can no longer be a 5 because it sees them both. And that's a Y-wing. We say it's hinged on that cell, and I think its output or something is in this cell. So either there is a 4 there with a 5 there, or a 7 there with a 5 there. In either case, there's a 5 in one of those two cells, maybe both, but certainly one of them, and that means this is a 4. And that is going to let us finish the puzzle. That 4 gives us a 5 here. I believe it's going to let us finish the puzzle anyway, from what I think I observed previously. Let me try and work out whether I've got this right or not. How has that resolved things going across the grid? I mean, it's just a useful lesson in what you can spot anyway. So even if it doesn't solve this particular puzzle entirely on its own, it is nonetheless a useful lesson. So I'm not convinced that it does, interestingly. I might well be missing something. Let's take the pencil marks out of there. We've used them. We did get a 5 here. I think I'm just missing something fairly obvious now. Or maybe there's another X-wing still, another Y-wing still to go that we can now together track down. That might be interesting. And they're very hard to spot. I don't really have tips on how to spot them, except getting used to the patterns that appear and sort of seeing if they lead to anything that helps you see them. Sorry, I've got a watering eye, which isn't very helpful at this either. So let me just try and figure out what we can find here. I may, as I say, oh look, I think we can do it again, can't we? No, maybe not. I was wondering if we could hinge it on the same cell. If that was a 4, we get a 7 here, 5 here, 4 here. If that's a 7, no, it works the other way. We get a 5 here and a 7 here. So no, that's more normal. That's not, as far as I can see, the X-wing or the remaining Y-wing that we need here. We may, of course, have created another X-wing that I haven't spotted. There's every chance. I mean, the beautiful thing about Sudoku sometimes is that it does create these patterns that ebb and flow as you go through the puzzles. So I am still trying to find what we may have created now that may allow the rest of the puzzle to be solved. So if that was a 4, this would be a 7, which would make this a 9. But if it's a 7, then this has to be a 4. No, that seems to work just as well. It's probably going to be about this cell, which is the only one left with 3 candidates marked in it. Now, if that was 5 or 9, this would be a pair. We'd have a 4 here, 9 there, 5 there, 9 there. So if this was a 5 or a 9, it couldn't be a 9. So it's not a 9. Do you see that? If this was a 5 or a 9, let's just go through that again. If this was a 5 or a 9, then we'd have to have a 4 here, which, because that would put a 9 here, would put a 5 here, and that would put a 9 here. So if this was a 9 or a 5, this would be a 9. And therefore this cannot be a 9. because if it was a 9 or a 5, there'd be a 9 there, and that's impossible. So this is not a 9. Now we have a 4-5 pair here. I can finish this off as a 9. Go 7, 5, 4, 9, 4. So maybe my explanation to maths was not complete. But I'm certainly grateful for him sending the puzzle, because it's been a very interesting one in terms of finishing. And although it's a computer-generated Sudoku, they can throw up interesting finishes sometimes. And this one did. So I shall say, tack ska det mas. That was very good of you to send that, and an interesting puzzle to finish off. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope that's helped with your classic Sudoku solving. We'll see you soon on the channel. Bye for now.